Hello everyone, this is my teaching memo for session 2. What a gorgeous day today is. I just went for my mid-morning walk. My Fitbit is bossing me around again. Nothing exciting this week for the Winnie Sagan team other than that the Patriots won with a third-string quarterback and the Red Sox won 11 games in a row and look like a cinch to win their division, maybe even get the top seed. Go Big Poppy. Okay, start off with a little housekeeping. The DB, the first discussion board is closed and you can no longer post. That's the only time you're really penalized for doing something late. Actually, you are penalized because you cannot do anything late for the discussion board. The biggest issue I saw was one, lack of proper APA format. All of you, you're in a master's program, graduate school, you should have a handle on proper APA format. If you don't, then you need to keep referring to the Purdue Owls website. And I put that in, as a comment in many of your initial post uploads. And also the other big area is that in your response posts, you're more or less just BSing, what I call it. The purpose of the discussion board is to enhance and extend your understanding of the topic. So if you're just saying, oh yeah, I do that in my class, or oh boy, what a great post that was, great idea, it doesn't help in either of those areas. All it does is, okay, we feel good for a second, and because you liked our post and you praised us. It's okay to praise, but you need to also refer to the text, or as many of you have done, and I'm going to mention some of you, share a relevant, quote unquote, relevant website. And in this discussion board about math anxiety, not test anxiety, that's something else. Math and science anxiety, lots of stuff out there, and I'm going to mention some of it. So make sure that you're doing that in your response host, and look at the discussion board rubric, and that's right with the first discussion board instructions. It tells you that you need at least 4 posts that cite the text. You don't have to use strict APA format, but just cite it. Hoffman 2015. So keep that in mind, because many of you are going to be and please don't email me and say, Dr. Tom, I got downgraded in this section. I've been getting way, way, way too many emails, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm excited that many of you are sharing relevant web material, which, as I mentioned, counts as referencing the readings. That's the inquiry part of this course, is to go out. I mean, there's so much information on the web. It's to go out and delve in toward the latter part of the semester, asking good questions. I'm going to go into that later on in the semester, and then going and finding out the answer. So we're going to talk about science inquiry towards the end of the session, but you can also do inquiry in reading. You can do inquiry in social studies. I know in my wife's school district, her new job as humanities director for the City Schools of Kingston, she's working with all her social studies teachers to create inquiry units. So I went through your baseline surveys and initial discussion board postings. I made some comments on some, but not on all. The important part of the baseline survey is that you will be asked to submit it again at the end of the course, and talk about what you actually learned. So for those of you who are watching this video and those of you who are reading my teaching memo, and I'm going to yell at most of you for not doing that in a second, that you will, lost my train of thought, you will submit it at the end of the course, but then you'll have to use some references to support your, because that rubric will be a little different. All you had to do is support your comments with some evidence from your own experience this time, although many of you, didn't follow my instructions, and many of you put citations, which I was looking for if they were from a previous course, but it appears that some of you went ahead and searched the web and things like that. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to know what you knew. going into this course? What was your understanding going into this course? So, also, I would recommend, as I mentioned, I would recommend filling it in as you go, but also the vocabulary in your own words, and that's posted, and that will be posted in the first 3 sessions in course material. So, download that and fill it out as you go, and you will be much happier at the end of the course when you're not overwhelmed with all this stuff you have to do. So I'm trying to help. I'm trying to give you hints. Okay, I'm going to talk about session 2's discussion board, good comments and or any misconceptions. This was the first time I used this writing prompt for my initial discussion board, and I was very excited about the many unique responses and ideas for stemming the rise of math or science anxiety. I want our discussions to be an exercise in enhancing your teaching skills, and I believe there were several of note. I'm going to mention some of them. Okay, don't feel hurt if I didn't mention you. I can't mention everybody. There's 27 people in this class, and I just can't mention everybody's post. So I try to pick out several, 4 or 5, 6 posts that I think really are exceptional. So many of you mentioned Carol Dweck, which Carol Dweck is in her study on mindset is a hot topic, and as well it should be. I was excited to see Kristen share a poster, and I'll click on it right, and you can see it's a poster that says, instead of saying this, try saying this, and really good ideas. But again, and I mentioned this later on because someone else shared a poster, it's okay to post this in your classroom, but you have to refer to it regularly. So kids aren't just, after a while, all these posters that are up in your room, students become numb to them unless you are using them. If you have writing prompts, if you have ways to ask higher order thinking questions, ways to respond to your classmates, word of the day or words of the week, word walls. Unless you're referring to them, kids will just zone out. They will just become numb to them. So when you're using this, and someone like the first one, I'm not good at this. So catch somebody saying that and say, hey, what does it say we should be saying instead of this? Try it. What does it say? And the student will say, what am I missing? Much better. So this is great. And Kristen, thank you for sharing that. And I hope everybody can see it. It's kind of small, but when I tried to enlarge it, it just got blurry. The pixels spread out. So thanks. And I uploaded it, and it will be part of my course in coming weeks. So that's what's great about starting this course online, is that I'm adding material to my course thanks to you folks. So pat yourself on the back. Okay. In group 1, I was curious about how young math and science anxiety starts, and so Rose sees her kindergartners being nervous, but not about math and science anxiety, but generally they're nervous about because they don't know the content. So she starts them off with icebreakers, which I would recommend for everyone. If you read the first day of school stuff, several of those articles mentioned starting off with icebreakers, and she uses the mantra, I don't know yet, and I'm learning to know. So that's another growth mindset statement. Instead of saying, I don't know and I'll never know. Oh, I'll never know. So that's great. And Stephanie chipped in with a response to Rose's comments about making mistakes. She tells her students to make mistakes in confidence. The more you can make exposure to math and science a positive experience from the very beginning, and to feel safe to make mistakes, you have taken a step toward conquering math and science phobia. So math learning is about making mistakes and using those mistakes to grow. Just like it is when we're teaching. If we make mistakes in teaching, and I, as your evaluator, say, hey, you should try this, or look at this, or what made you say that, or what made you do this, don't get upset about it. Just say, opportunity to grow. So you got a growth mindset. Okay. I always encourage my students to share as long as it's on topic. Don't start sharing things on, like they do on Facebook. about Donald Trump or um, uh, Clinton. Uh, so, um, so in several posts, you complained, some of you complained about parent interference with assignments or their inability to understand Common Core State Standards math. So I shared this third grade math handout, which is a weekly newsletter sent home to parents. And I got it from Teachers Pay Teachers, and you'll see right on the handout that it gives you which teacher that is. So somebody asked, "Can I get some of these for first grade?" And my answer to is maybe you could, but this was a third grade teacher, and I think that was the name of her website was something to do with third grade, using math in the third grade. Let me see, it's Thrifty in third grade. So this is a great a great newsletter you can send home to parents. This is what we're covering. These are some sample problems. Here is the actual standard, but it's in. You notice that this is in student-friendly language. I can use place value to round whole numbers to the nearest 10 or 100, and that's how all your learning targets should be written. The ones that you post in class, so kids know exactly where they're going. Where am I going? Where am I now? How can I close the gap? So this is where am I going? So as you can go through it, you can see helping my child. How can I help my child? Challenging my child. So there are ways to even go beyond what you're going to be covering in class. So I've shared that with a couple of people, and a lot of and those people were excited about it. So I hope you use that, and hope everybody looks at it. I want to give a shout out to Melanie, who shared a PBS website called Misunderstood Minds, and see if I can get that here. You see here, it's Misunderstood Minds. It's a PBS website, and it talks about what can stand in the way of students' mathematical development and what are some signs of math difficulty. So thank you, Melanie, for sharing that with us. I hope everybody goes to it and prints it out and keeps it. Also, Stephanie shared a poster again, and it's called 10 Things We Can Learn from Superheroes. And let me see if I can, my computer's working down in my basement today, so my computer is kind of slow. But all of these items I've shared on my Google Docs. So you can see 10 things we can learn from superheroes. We all have something we are good at. Another growth mindset statement. So I shared this with my wife, actually, I think it was yesterday morning in bed, and that's how exciting my life is, woke up in the morning and start reading your stuff. I say, hey, what do you think of this? And she says, if you just post that in the classroom and don't do anything with it, it's just window dressing. But if you are using that constantly, and she suggested, and I thought it was a great idea, using this as an anchor activity. Anchor activities are a form of differentiating, so when students finish one assignment early, they can go on to this, or when students are done with their reading, they can go on and say, okay, I'm gonna work on number one, and she suggested using these as writing prompts. We all have something we are good at. How would you react to that? What are some things you are good at? And talk about those. So, again, a great sharing, and this is the kind of stuff that I'm hoping you all start doing. Of course, I won't be able to mention it all, but I will find good stuff that I can add to my course. Finally, many of you responded to my teaching post, which is always a good idea. I wanted to know how you might respond when, as John mentioned, what will I ever use this for? I thought that was a great question, because if you can't answer this question, then you shouldn't be teaching what you're teaching. And don't say, oh, I have to teach this. No, you find out why students can use this, or as Megan said, Megan made a game out of it, and this will happen when there's certain things that you aren't sure of. You don't know. Okay, let's work on this together. Let's find the answer to this today. I'm not sure about this. because I'm not perfect. I don't know everything, but we can work on this together. So she made a game of it, and students researched and found the questions. She even shared a website, which I thought was kind of neat. I never heard of it, but see if I can see if I have it up here. Um, no. Let me click on it. But so it's kind of neat. It's what will I ever use this for? So obviously, um, any question that's ever been asked in a classroom, and you can see there's categories: algebra, geometry, statistics, and I don't know what this links are, but um, so it even gives you things for teachers, things for students. So thank you for sharing that. And again, another great resource for our class. Um, after, I hope you all gained a great deal of knowledge about the first days of school. And I'm not going to talk about that because I haven't started really reading your double entry journal. So I'll talk about that in my next session, teaching memo. But I've read a couple and I was pretty excited about it. So it's very rarely in teacher education courses that you learn about the first days of school and things you should be doing, and the ways to build personal relationships with your students. My wife and I feel very strongly about this, and we'll probably be writing an update to that article. It's about how old? 9 years old now, but it's still pretty relevant, pretty useful in the near future. So after all our discussions, I will try to share some interesting points and surface any misconceptions from our discussions. And again, don't feel bad if I don't mention you. I can only mention a few because this, as you will see, this video already is running into the 15-20 minute length. All right, session 3. This will be the only session that we will look at technology portion of this class, but one to which I'm really looking forward to. One, because I get to meet you, because I will see you live. I'll see a video of you that was when you were live. So you're going to research a piece of technology or a website that can help. All right, so I'm going to go on and I'm going to go to the course materials and do session folders. I think my basement is sheltered my internet. But in the session folders, in session 3 folder, you notice the 2 learning targets I have is to become familiar with at least 5, and I'm hoping you become familiar with many more than that, but at least 5 teaching or classroom management applications, websites, or programs, and that you'll be able to produce a clear video presentation with an interesting beginning and an engaging middle and a wrapping it up type of conclusion. So in course materials for this semester, you'll find many applications and websites and things of that nature. And some of you have already gone on to the discussion board and done it. So you can see 100 tools for differentiating instruction through social media, 10 free apps and tools, teacher recommended 50 favorite classroom apps, 20 best apps for education. And again, there's your vocabulary and your words. Just another reminder. There it is. So start filling it out. So there's where you can go. I mean, you may already have something in mind. Some of you have mentioned it in your baseline surveys, have mentioned applications like Socrative and Class Dojo. So get on there, and if you go on to all discussions, you'll see that there are, and I would recommend when you go to your discussion board, click on all discussions because that gives a very clear description of what you're expected to do. I received several emails about people asking me, what am I supposed to do? And some people uploaded their baseline survey as their initial post. So you'll notice it's moved up to the top, my favorite app. There's the rubric, and you'll see that there are people that have already put put their names on and declared this is the app I'm going to do. And I think Class Dojo has already been chosen. But one of the things that you need to do is, tell us about the app. If you have a program that can show us something that's actually show us the website, actually show us you using it. If you can get a close up, right, put it right up. Put your phone right up to the. Do a few things and show it right as close as you can. So at least we can get an idea what it is. So 3 to 5 minutes. There in the presentation folder. There are ways to, take videos with your phone. Always take them this way, sideways. That's the biggest piece of information I can give you about doing videos. But and you can upload those to YouTube. Everybody can get a YouTube account. I would recommend that and not TeacherTube. TeacherTube, to me, it's so full of advertisements that it bugs me. I can't believe that, hey, I'm going to create this great site for teachers to use, and then they bombard you with advertisements. I understand that's how they make money, but still, YouTube, you might have to watch a 30-second video, and that's it. So those are my instructions for this week. Again, we have 2 weeks off because of the holidays, and I will be grading. I have a lot of work. To grade, so it's going to take me probably the whole 2 weeks to grade your discussion board post and your double entry journal. So be patient with me. And as far as emails, many of you have sent me emails, and it's because you didn't read or watch my teaching memos. And so I know if you're watching this, I'm preaching to the choir. But if you're watching it for the first time, then I'm not. But you got to watch my teaching memos, because I'll explain a lot of things that are happening or that might happen. So that's it for this session. I will be back with another teaching